morning impala. Herd quite relaxed, quite spread out this morning amongst some dense bush. Had a large herd of impala. Probably also pleased that the weather's warming up a bit.
Hello everybody, it's Pete from Final Control. It seems the sound coming from the vehicle is a bit on the soft side, the low side. So Rexon is quickly checking whether the settings are okay, and then we're going to go sound up. Sorry for the slight delay, for the interruption. Just checking sound levels today. Make sure that you can hear us properly. Possibly a relatively newborn impala lamb. The females do leave the group when they give birth, and it helps with the bonding of mother and child before she introduces it to the herd. Make sure they know each other's voice and scent. So she'll spend a day or two with the little one before she joins up with the herd. That's quite a new little lamb. Very vulnerable. Range of predators that they have to watch out for, including eagles at that age. There are a number of eagles that will take young impala. We have a yellow-billed kite flying above us. Unfortunately, the camera can't go that high. Kite about the size of a red-tailed hawk, with a forked tail, scavenger and a super opportunist. Known to take food out of people's hands when they've been eating. They come down from Morocco, North Africa for our summer. Well, we've already got a response to my hippo question. Karen was the lucky one who actually managed to photograph that hippo in the waterhole. Quite remarkable. Having a community of game watchers all around. All around the world. Thanks, Karen. Thanks for getting back to us. Or is it Karen? Please correct me if I'm wrong. Nairobi, that would be pronounced Karen after Karen Blixen. Even the suburb where her farm was is now called Karen. Western Nairobi towards the Ngong Hills. I think Nairobi must be one of the only capital cities in the world that you can fly into and fly over a national park. And when you're landing in Nairobi International or at small Wilson Airport, the smaller internal airport, that you can be flying over giraffe as you land, and zebra and wildebeest, and be in a national park and look out onto the city skyline and all the buildings of Nairobi. The main road that leads from city centre out to the suburb of Karen runs all along the boundary of the national park. So a lot of commuters heading into town in the mornings get to see at least some animals on their way into work. Seem to be followed by this kite back overhead. Going to be heading up in front of us. Maybe if I can stop briefly. Rexon trying his best to keep it in sight. Wonderful aerial acrobat kite. And unfortunately, as in many cases where humans and wild animals meet, people try to feed them, and it alters their behavior, sometimes to the detriment of the animal, unfortunately. And in some places where kites are quite prolific, people have fed them and they become very bold and can become a bit of a nuisance. If anybody's been to the bottom of Ngorongoro crater, some of the other parks in East Africa, often stories of people who are eating their picnic lunches and having food taken straight out of their hands as the food's on the way to their mouth, people getting accidentally nicked by those talons. Keeping my eyes on the ground at the moment, hoping to find some tracks, interesting tracks to follow up on. The ground will be drying out nicely from a nice warm day today, and that's going to help us. The drier it gets, the softer the sand, the easier it is to read tracks. Reading tracks is a lot easier in the early mornings and late afternoons. One needs the shadows of the angled sun to fall into the depressions of the track to make them clear, and to define the ridges. That determines how fresh a track is. This could very well be the group of wildebeest we were watching last night. In fact, it is, because they seem to have maybe slept each other last night and are only just beginning to move around. More than likely the same group of impala that are hanging around with them. I'm going to be a little bit quieter now as I'm trying to get in to see them. They'll be moving off. Get to see that youngster again. Without infrared.
I think it is, I'm going to the west. What? Oh, the other. Oh, yeah, I got it.
Each night that a little youngster like that survives, it learns a valuable lesson in survival. Pick up on noises that the adults react to, noises that they don't learn to be aware of as it's growing up, sounds, smells, all behavior during the night. And they do have pretty good night vision, still not as good as is. Especially for last night, it was a little darker than normal. We've got a waxing moon, and a waxing moon makes it for very bright evenings when there's no cloud. Korhan busted, hiding. Okay. A shy bustard. That could have been a buff-crested or red-crested Korhan, also known as a red-crested bustard. The smaller of the bustard family. Bustards are very large ground birds. The tree on our right, you can see how it's been ring-barked by elephants. And sadly it has killed the tree. If there was just one strip of bark, it possibly could have survived. But bark is a very essential element in an elephant's diet. It provides roughage to keep the digestive system flowing, and that is important mostly because elephants don't digest very much of their food intake. They don't have the ruminating stomachs of the antelopes and the bovids, and as a result they've got to keep flushing their system. Excuse me. Any material that doesn't get digested just has a chance of fermenting and damaging the gut, so they have to keep it moving through. Branches and bark are essential elements to their diet, much like fiber is to ours. This is a Locacia species, the knobthorn. Slowly but surely the smaller branches will break off in the wind, fall to the ground. Termites will eat them and break them down into smaller components, and eventually it all gets back into the soil. That tree's been standing for many, many decades probably, and in all that time denuded the ground around it with nutrients. The only way to put those nutrients back in is to have the tree decompose where it grew, really. see some buffalo in the area. Got some fresh tracks on the ground. Small group of bulls, no doubt. We were on this road last night and there's been a lot of activity on the road since then. Buffalo, lot of
Morning everyone, I've cut away to Gauri for a little bit because Marc is driving through a bad signal area at the moment. So until the signal improves, which probably should be very soon, we're just going to stay at the waterhole for a little bit longer.
Welcome back. It seems we're almost at the limit of our transmission range. So there, clearly, since it's got something to do, well, I believe, something to do with our proximity to towers and things. We'll make sure that we keep this distance and keep in touch. Wouldn't want to lose you. Still have buffalo tracks on the road in front of us, heading in our direction, on and off the road. Pick up that lock, Gregson.
Where?
I'm not sure.
It's west.
West.
Yeah. Is that double amp?
I think so.
Gala.
Low. Just had a very fresh snake track on the road, fairly large reptile. I'm not too sure what it was. Possibly a cobra, that size of snake, or that kind of a track. I'm expecting there to be some reptile activity today. After a few days of cold and wet, reptiles ought to be dying for some sunshine, and I'm scouring termite mounds and fallen logs and rocks to see if there are any reptiles sunning themselves this morning. Here are our bovid friends that have been walking on for the road for the last mile or two, a couple of kilometers, a couple of big buffalo bulls. Just let them again after coming off the road, and I want to try and get a little east of them. When a buffalo looks down at you like that, when you're on foot, that's another matter entirely. 3 bulls, Duggar boys as we call them. Hello, man. With his head down like that, you can see some of the bark that he's been rubbing his head, what we call the boss of the horn. It's that huge, massive horn on the top of his head. You can see on our right, on his left, of the boss, Been rubbing it against the bark of a tree. Base of the horns do get itchy. You often find them hooking branches underneath the horns and rubbing vigorously, possibly because of easy access for ticks. Little black bird with a forked tail that's sitting between these first two now on a dead stick. It's called a fork-tailed drongo. Wonderful little bird, little clown in fact. And what he's doing is following the buffalo, trying to catch any of the insects that are being scared up out of the grasses. Big bull at the back lost his tail. That's possibly a lion injury from somewhere in his past. And the red-billed oxpecker on his back. Well, oxpeckers do a lot of good for these animals and all the other hoofed mammals. They can be a little bit of a pest sometimes when animals have an injury. They'll peck open sores and keep them fresh. Attracts flies, attracts things. These old bulls, having possibly left the breeding herds, the bigger herds of mixed individuals that we call a breeding herd, constantly on the move for grazing, for the numbers of buffalo within the group. When you get to be an old buffalo, you get tired of all the mooing, bickering, and you seek out a bit of grazing for yourself in a mud wallow and a water hole, and you tend to go into retirement, as it were. No. guess to this age, when buffalo get to be old and a bit cantankerous, it's when they can get a little bit dangerous. They're not very happy about humans on foot. They're not happy about lion. In fact, they're not happy about a lot of things. They get a little bit cantankerous in their old age and can be a little bit aggressive at times. These three boys are just a little bit curious about us. More than likely the sound of my voice that they're reacting to. I'm sure they're quite used to vehicles. I'm sure as the day went on they'll make their way to a waterhole when it gets hotter, or a wallow. You can see some dried mud on their backs from a previous wallow. Wind coming our way, very strong smell of bovid, of buffalo, very distinctive smell. The third one now lying down just off camera. Thank you, Rexon. Turned his back to us, he's bored with us. Just had a question come through to the control room, and the question was regarding the horns of buffalo and the fact that some buffalo have broken horns and whether they get brittle with age and how they break. Well, if anything, a buffalo's horns get denser, thicker with age, and I imagine that the primary reason why they get broken is because the weight of a huge big bull buffalo in a fight, just the lever action of that amount of force of the body behind it, if a horn gets hooked in another buffalo's horns, I would say that's the primary reason for them breaking. When two big bulls have a go at each other, the horns are being the weapon, being the main point of contact. It's likely that that's where most of the breaks occur. And obviously in fights that get a little bit beyond the average fight where one will give way, there'll be fights where both bulls are equally convinced they're stronger, and the fight gets out of hand. Horns get locked. Unlike the horns of deer in Europe and North America, the bovids and the antelope have horns that are permanent. They're part of the skull. They're a horny covering over a bony interior that is actually part of the skull. Not like the deer who have antlers that grow each year and they grow from bony protuberances on the skull, but there's no central bony skeleton to the antlers of an antelope. So it's quite a blow to an animal to have a broken horn in Africa, because it does mean that even the internal bone itself is broken. But they do survive with it. I've seen many antelope, or many different species that have lost a horn somewhere along the line, and in all cases it's invariably through sparring and intense fighting that it happens. Carry on now. Leave these boys to their own devices. Thank you, gentlemen. Yes, getting a nod from one of them. And another one, thank you. Yes. Where I interpret that as a nod, I expect it's actually a signal from the buffalo to go away. Much like an elephant throwing his head at us.
This is a couple of birds here. Well, these are crested francolin on our left that Rexton's picking up now. We were trying to film that hornbill. That loud noise we heard was the francolin, their morning pick-up call. It's just like the hardy-dars, you have the morning call and the evening call. And in the evenings when the sun goes down, francolins will call and the neighbors will answer and their neighbors will answer, and it's almost a competition to see who could be the last ones to call for the evening as it gets dark. Traditional sound of the bushveld is the morning and evening calls of the francolins, also known as spurfowl. I just ducked under a bush. I'm not sure if they saw an eagle or something. You can see a giraffe through the trees way to the right. And the second one. Oh, there's a youngster there too. It's way across the drainage line from us. I think we need to try and get there. There's a young calf, quite a young calf with that giraffe. She's running now. I wonder what. Slowly coming back to a walk. That's more or less where the buffalo were, isn't it?
Yeah, on that direction.
She's
Finding something there.
yeah, she's not happy about something. She's taking that baby somewhere. So can we get there this way?
Let's check here, maybe to the left of the compass.
There's a batelier flying up ahead. Shimungwe in Shangaan. Batelier is one of the snake eagles, and perhaps of all the eagles, one of the best flyers. The species has a shortened tail, and without the stability of the tail, it has a very distinctive rocking motion in flight. Be interested to hear from any of our wildlife viewers who speak French what the direct translation of the word batelier is. I've had different meanings from different people. Yeah.
That road is the same looking one. When I go back to the ramp.
Well, they've moved quite fast that way.
Yeah.
And moving more or less into our range, so I'm sure we'll pick it up later. Can you focus on that dung for me, Rex? It's very old, but I just want to show you an example of a large predator's dung, all the bone fragments. Of course, there's some buffalo dung next to it. Here at the moment, there is a beetle that's digging around in there, one of the carcass beetles. Actually, there are a whole bunch of them. I'm just going to have a look, see what.
Please hold a little bit long, then I can.
Would this be good? So the beetle itself is a beetle that is often found on carcasses, one of the detritivores, one of the creatures that helps break matter, normal matter down, like termites break down plant matter. They come from nowhere when they're dead animals or when there's predators dung. This is pretty old dung. I'm just putting the beetle back. Makes it relatively clean to sift through. Different bones. This one piece of bone is definitely a piece of a bird bone. Very, very light, very hollow. Other bones here, difficult to say. Don't know any better. This was from a tortoise. This has been etched a little bit by stomach acid. And this too looks like one of the bones from the carapace, the inside of the carapace of the tortoise. There's also a lot of hair. My guess is that it's lion dung or leopard, since it's broken up into so many pieces. It's very hard to tell. Although lion are more likely to be crunching bits of bone than like this than leopard.
I mentioned yesterday, I think it was, the hyena are able to digest hair and bone, and in the process, when it comes out the other end, it's no longer in its original. But the other predators don't digest hair and bone, and as a result, the bone comes out of their body very much intact. So went in, obviously broken up by this act of chewing, but very often one can find either hoof, bone, hair, and identify the species of animal that was eaten. Lovely bird song. The oriole. Two there. There we go. Let's see, hope we can pick that up. Black-headed oriole. There are two of them having a song. It's gone. We also have a chagra with a wonderful portrait. That's the one, that's the three-streak chagra. This lovely call, other call that we have, the single note, is a black-headed oriole, but they're really moving through that tree too much. If it was one on its own, it would probably sit still and call from one perch, but there's two there and they seem to be having a bit of a competition as to whose tree it really is. I might borrow the title of a book, The Territorial Imperative. That's what life is all about, establishing territory, because without a territory nothing else can happen. Us humans are very similar. It's important for us to create and make home before we carry on with other things like meeting a partner and procuring or producing children. Procuring, no, not procuring. In nature, it's the most important facet of life. And without a territory for any species, you don't get a mate, and you don't continue the line. Should at least be one reptile on one of these termite mounds.
a lizard or something. And very deep trumpet. Obviously, quite a specialized insect or something that pollinates it. I've picked a piece of leaf here. I wanted to show you. I can bring it here. The leaf, and I'm getting a little bit slimy. But it's actually quite soapy. Can you see that? You can lather these leaves up into a decent shampoo or soap. Of course, you've got to get past the texture. It is very slimy. Thanks, Rex. Devil's thorn is a very painful thing to stand on. It has a very flat base with two very sharp pointed spikes that stick up that look like devil's horn, hence the name. And you don't want to be walking barefoot into one of those. The flower has also been known as the lady's slipper because of the trumpet. Although there's several beige or velvety flowers that are called lady slippers. And I'm going to have a slimy hand for the rest of the day. No, it's dry already, only kidding. Rexon, is that leaf used for anything else? Or the plant? Oh. Looking at the camera and I'm not looking to my right. It's a little boy steenbok. A little bit nervous. He recently left his parents, in fact. Not quite adult. All of maybe 2 feet tall, if that, at the shoulder. Steenbok or Steenbok. Highly territorial little animal. Mate for life, and the pair live in a little territory of maybe a couple of acres. The male has horns, the female doesn't. with his head side on. If we look closely, just below the eye, you can see a tear duct, or what we call a preorbital gland, almost part of the eye socket. A lot of small antelope have preorbital glands that produce a dark, thick, sticky substance that they use to mark their territories. They deposit a little bit of sticky stuff on the edge of a grass stalk, sufficient to mark the territory. When you think us humans, we have to build and it's as simple as marking a grass stalk. And they use latrines. Some of the smaller antelope. Steenbok, of course, one of the cleanest little antelope. They do a scraping in the ground and cover up their dung in a similar way that a cat does. Bye, boy. fresh rhino tracks, but unfortunately crossing the boundary, or they're coming in. No, I'm just heading to the road. Okay. These rhino came out here. It's like a couple of them must have been during the night. Can't be many jackalberries in this part of the world. Rhino activity here. One going one way, another one going another way. Regular rhino highway. No doubt. Rex, is this Buffalo's hook?
3 hours then.
Oh, it's past there. Okay. tea house dam. This was a bigger, yeah. Pair of Egyptian geese. Have a look, see if there's forgetting my wing birds. It looks like a spotted sandpiper and a three-ringed plover. There we have a three-ringed plover. Three-banded plover, triple-banded plover. 2 or 3. The last one is included, so it's 3. 3-band. That peaceful note ending off. Very peaceful scene of the two waders wandering around the edge. Egyptian geese that aren't a little bit too perturbed about us. We're going to be signing off for now, making our way back to control. My apologies. I'm picking up the signals from Resting now. We're actually going to cut back 5 minutes before we continue live on the back, and we'll see you in 5 minutes.
Hello, this is Pete from Final Control. Unfortunately, the last couple of seconds the sound was breaking up a bit, but what Mark was saying is that they're going to take a little break, just stretch their legs a little bit for about 5 minutes. So during that 5 minutes we'll be seeing what's happening at Gowrie Waterhole over here, and then we will rejoin the game drive vehicle with Mark and Rexon.
Now we're going to do something interesting on the track. We get a shot of that. There's a tree orchid on the top of that dead tree. Excuse me folks, I've got a poke in the throat. Wash it down. What we look at is a giant tree orchid. One of maybe only 2 species that we get in this part of the world, in full flower at the moment. For those of you interested in orchids, it belongs to the group of orchids known as the Ansellia, or the genus is Ansellia. Ansellia. If you want to do a Google on that. And this one is Ansellia gigantea. Quite a remarkable tree orchid. Beautiful yellow flowers. 2 different subspecies, one that is pure yellow and the other one that has little spots in it, known as the tiger tree orchid. The tree orchid are an epiphyte. They're not acidic, they do use the host tree for support, but they don't draw any nutrients from the living part of the tree. They only draw nutrients from the dead wood or bark. Unlike mistletoe, perhaps, which is parasitic. No, I'm mistaken. I guess we could call it saprophytic. Lives on the sap of the host plant, but not parasitic in that it doesn't damage the host plant too much, other than living off of the sap. See if I can find you one of our drives, find you some mistletoe, especially now that we're coming close to Christmas. Different mistletoe species for some of them are quite specific on the host plant.
Coming from the Yeah, John, I'm also coming back south. I must disregard that.
An interesting thing we got here on the side of the road. A very large web. A huge central bubble to it. This is one of the only social spiders we get in Africa. A very messy bundle of web stretching out from the center. A whole bunch of small spiders that live in the center of the web, each with its own entrance. The large gets caught in the web, they'll all come out and attack it in a group. Mostly only females that live in the web, and they're all pregnant. Not going to be able to see any of the spiders at the moment because most of them are in the web. They're predominantly a nocturnal species, and perhaps one of these days on the night drive, if we come across another web, it will be a lot easier with the light to be able to see the individuals. Each little spider probably, an eighth of an inch. For those of you in inches, about a centimeter. And as the leaves of the tree dry and it gathers material in the web, the spiders use the leaves as part of the structure of the web. They spin around it, and so it gets bigger, and spiders to add to the community. Either called a social web spider or a community spider. As with all spiders on webs, the web of a spider is its entire universe. Everything else that exists on the planet is of no consequence to the spider in its web. The only thing it's concerned with is something that gets caught in the web.
station, so I'm going back to the west. So I'll see you guys. Yeah, now so 6 here. Where are you? Yeah.
Coach. Yeah. Cool. Where? Oh.
The name is Bachelor Drive.
Bachelor Drive. The Bachelor Nest here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
are you? You are putting me already on. Okay, Bali. Pamakai. Luton 7, good afternoon. Right now, Jerry. Right on again. Coming out for the Next station, Zangak West.
Of shape. Rico.
Dafür ist du
Bye. Okay. If we have to. Yeah. The bachelor boys is what we call a 2-3-year-old Impala. Quite incredible to see how at certain times of the year they can all happily be together and then suddenly switch on each other as soon as they pick up the easter scent of the females. When it's time to breed, which normally around April, May. What we call the rutting season. The bachelor herds start breaking up and the males start to peak and they start herding the females into harems, chasing last year's young rams, and then those rams have to form up with these bachelor herds. Oh. Disturbed the roller. We had a female steenbuck off to our right, but she was very camera shy. She stood and looked at us, and as we turned the camera she was gone. When was this burnt? June. Well, that's not a good time for a fire. Was it accident or was it a control burn?
I'm not sure.
Back onto the boundary, fire break. Yeah.
The only problem, the fire break, they're not burning from coming. If you stop fire coming from one place,
Yeah.
you get dry into the area. That's a good thing. Because once the fire comes there, you jump and get there and that section.
Yeah, and I don't want that section burnt. Yeah.
Yeah, just end of the winter when everything is more like dust.
Yes.
Yeah, that.
Ganda ganda. This is all fresh rhino. What's the youngster? A lot of rhino activity here during the night. I'll follow up on it later maybe. Folks, we're coming to the end of our time for this morning. Rickton and I are going to be shutting down. I want to thank Pete and Speedway and Simon Hammond back to control. Thanks to Rickton behind the camera. From me, Mark, had a wonderful morning. Getting a bit overcast. I think we've had the best of the day this morning with that bit of sunshine. I hope you're going to join us later today. And then of course we have the fireside chat tonight. I'll be joining that hopefully. I'm getting to speak to some of you. We're going to shut down now and I'll take it over